everyone! You know what I realized this morning? It has been 10 years since I packed up my life in Minnesota and moved to Raleigh, and let me tell you what a decade it's been. I've been getting so many messages asking about life here, especially with all of the buzz around Raleigh being the next Austin or the next Nashville. But here's the thing, I want to cut through the hype and give you my raw, honest perspective after a decade of not just working here, but truly living and breathing this city. Here's my quick story. Back in 2015, I was desperately looking for a warmer climate, but also an affordable area and one with lots of job potential. I was also drawn here by what seemed like endless opportunities in the real estate market. But what I found was so much more than just warm weather and a hot market. Over these past 10 years, I've had the incredible privilege of helping hundreds of families find their perfect home here, and I've watched this area transform right before my eyes. When I say I live and work here, I mean it in the deepest sense. I shop at the same farmers markets as my clients, grab coffee at local spots like Jubila, and yes, occasionally get stuck in the same traffic on Highway 40 and Capitol Boulevard. I've experienced firsthand both the growing pains and the incredible rewards of calling the Raleigh area home. Today, I want to share everything I've learned about this amazing region. Let's dive into what makes Raleigh, North Carolina truly special. Let's start with what's probably the biggest draw to our area, the job market, and wow, what a market it is. The Research Triangle Park has become more than just a tech hub. It's an innovation powerhouse that's reshaping our entire region. The numbers here are mind-blowing. You know how people talk about Silicon Valley? Well, we've got over 300 companies calling RTP home, with more than 55,000 full-time employees working here. Our tech job growth has been consistently strong, averaging 4.8% annually since 2020. And here's something that really catches attention. Our average salaries are running about 30% higher than the national average. And what's even more exciting is that the amount of startup funding that we've seen has tripled in just the last 3 years. Just last week, I helped a software engineer and his wife from California find their dream home. And they're one of over 100 tech professionals I've helped relocate here in just the past 10 years. Companies like Apple, Google, IBM, and Epic Games don't just exist here, they're expanding rapidly. But here's what gets me excited about our job market. It's not just tech giants. Our startup scene is booming. We're seeing innovative companies popping up in biotechnology and life sciences, pushing boundaries in artificial intelligence and machine learning. There's a whole movement around clean energy and sustainability, plus amazing advances in digital healthcare and financial technology. Let me tell you about one of my favorite success stories. I had a client who moved here in 2019, and what they thought would be just another mid-level tech position, within only a couple of years, not only has he been promoted twice, but he's now considering starting his own consulting business in the private sector. That's what makes Raleigh special. It's not just about finding a job, it's about finding your path to something bigger, because there are so many directions you can go and grow. Now let me tell you about something that gets me really excited. The way that property values have grown here. The numbers tell such an incredible story. I remember my very first listing back in 2018, a charming 3-bedroom home in Holly Springs that we listed for $499,000. Want to know what that exact same house just sold for last year? $860,000. Nearly doubled in value, and trust me, this isn't some one-off success story. We're seeing this everywhere. Let me paint you a picture of what makes our real estate market so special. Since 2014, we've seen average home values climb by 67% across the board. In some areas like North Hills, we're talking about an 85% increase in just 5 years. For my investors out there, in some areas, rental properties are consistently bringing in returns between 8 to 10% annually. And if you're interested in new construction, those pre-sale appreciation numbers are hitting 15 to 20% on average. But you know what sets us apart? Not just the numbers, it's about what you get for your money. Compared to other tech hubs like Austin, San Jose, or Seattle, for example, your dollar stretches so much more here. You're getting more square footage, access to newer construction, and these amazing master plan communities with amenities that will blow your mind. And plus, contrary to popular belief, our HOA structures are solid, really protecting your investment in our school district. They're like gold for property values. And speaking of schools, let me tell you about something that sets Raleigh apart, our education system. It's honestly incredible. Within a 30-minute drive, we've got what I like to call the triangle of excellence. We're talking about Duke University, ranked number 8 nationally, UNC Chapel Hill, which stands as the top 5 public university in the nation, and NC State University, which is crushing it with STEM and engineering programs. But here's what gets parents excited when they're looking to move here. Our K-12 schools are pretty great comparatively. We're not just talking about good schools, we're talking about some of the best in North Carolina right here in our region. The numbers speak for themselves. Our students are achieving an 89% graduation rate, and 92% of those graduates are going on to pursue higher education. Here in Wake County alone, we have 187 schools, and I love telling my clients that 28 of these schools rank in the top 10% nationally. The STEM and IB programs here, they're not just strong, they're transforming how our kids learn and prepare for their futures. Just last week, I toured a local high school in Cary, and they pointed out which schools their students end up attending after they graduate, and places like West Point, Princeton, UNC Chapel Hill, Harvard, Duke, and so many more ended up on that list. What makes our education system unique is how deeply it's connected with our business community. I'm seeing high school students getting amazing internship opportunities locally. Our universities are partnering with local business to create job pipelines, and some incredibly robust vocational and technical training programs are here as well. There's this wonderful synergy between education and industry here that I'm not aware of anywhere else. And one thing that makes Raleigh special, you won't believe. I will talk about something that surprised even me when I first moved here, our amazing weather. Coming from Minnesota, I had no idea that North Carolina still had 4 seasons until I moved here. I just thought it was the South. Trust me, Raleigh's climate is something special. We get to experience all 4 of the seasons, but without those harsh extremes that can make life difficult in other parts of the country. Let me walk you through our year. In spring, which runs from March through May, we're looking at these perfect days with temperatures between 60 and 75 degrees. You should see our neighborhoods when the cherry blossoms and azaleas bloom. It's like living in a painting. This is when you'll find me and my clients exploring all of the outdoor festivals that pop up across the city. Summer arrives in June, and yes, it gets warm with temperatures between 75 to 95 degrees and 100 degrees on a few occasions. But we've got so many ways to enjoy it. One of my clients who moved here from Seattle told me she never really knew how much she'd love evening concerts in the park or outdoor movies under the stars, and only being a 2-hour drive away from some of the best beaches in the world. And our summers give us long, beautiful days, perfect for exploring farmers markets or taking a dip in one of our many lakes. Fall is magical here. It's my absolute favorite season, especially in this state. From September through November, we're blessed with temperatures between 55 and 75 degrees. The foliage here will take your breath away, especially if you head to the American Tobacco Trail, Umstead State Park, or take a drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway only a few hours away in the mountains. Also, our state fair is a fall tradition that brings the whole community together in October to enjoy the sights, sounds, and fall smells. The temperature is at just the perfect place for haunted houses and hay rides too. Winter is where we shine for newcomers from the north. December through February gives us some pretty mild days, especially if you're from a freezing state like me. It's typically between 40 and 55 degrees. Yes, we might get snow, but it's just enough to make it feel magical without shutting down your entire life for days and weeks. My clients from Boston and New York still can't believe they can play golf year-round here. But here's what sets us apart geographically. In just a few hours, you can completely change your scenery. If you want to surf, the Atlantic beaches are just 2.5 hours away. If you feel like skiing, The Blue Ridge Mountains are only 3.5 hours in the other direction. Last weekend, I had a client who went skiing in the morning and made it back for dinner at their favorite Raleigh restaurant. That kind of accessibility is pretty incredible. But you must know what I consider our secret sauce, our amazing sense of community. It's a perfect blend of Southern hospitality and modern community spirit that makes Raleigh so special. Let me give you a perfect example. Just last weekend, I was at a local brewery, and what started as a small gathering turned into a really vibrant scene with a mix of sports lovers and friends watching the game, playing cornhole, listening to live music, and eating from the neighborhood favorites like hot wings, sweet potato fries, and the most delicious pizza from Brette. It's the most incredible sense of community you could imagine. Remember that family I mentioned who moved here from Boston? They told me something that really stuck with me. After just 3 months here, they knew more neighbors than they had in their entire decade up north. That's the Raleigh difference. For example, our first Friday art walks downtown. Every month, thousands of people come together to explore local galleries, enjoy live performances, and connect with their neighbors. I love sending our new clients to these events because I know their eyes literally light up when they realize this isn't just a city, it's a well-rounded community. In North Hills, we've got a fantastic farmers market every Saturday morning where you'll find everyone from local honey producers like Bee Blessed Honey to amazing organic farmers from just outside the city. One of my clients who moved here from Nashville said she was so amazed that within weeks, the vendors knew her name and her favorite products. Everyone is so friendly and amazing. Over in Oakwood, our historic district, neighbors still organize monthly porch parties. So picture this: warm evening air, people gathering on beautiful Victorian porches, sharing stories, watching their kids play together, and building connections. It's like something out of a movie, but it's just regular life here in Raleigh. A perfect blend of people from all over the place living their lives. Now let me tell you about how our food scene has exploded in the best way possible. When I first moved here in 2015, I thought our food scene was okay, but now I feel like it's growing into something even more amazing. Let me take you on a little culinary tour of what's happened here. Transfer Company Food Hall over in downtown Raleigh is the perfect example of our food evolution. Under one roof, you can get authentic Vietnamese pho from Locals Oyster Bar, incredible wood-fired bagels from Benchwarmers, and some of the best charcuterie you've ever tasted from Alimentari at Left Bank. Just last month, I had some clients in town from Virginia, just outside of DC, who are relocating here this spring, and they couldn't believe the quality and the variety. Over in downtown Raleigh, Ashley Christensen Restaurants have put us on the national culinary map. Poole's Diner Macaroni and Cheese has become famous, and Death and Taxes is giving fine dining a whole new meaning. But it's not just the high-end spots, we've got incredible diversity at every price point. Speaking of growth, our brewery scene has exploded. Trophy Brewing started as a tiny pizza and beer spot on Morgan Street, and now they've got multiple locations across the city. Over in the Warehouse District, Boylan Bridge Brew Pub offers what I think is the best skyline view in the city, along with their craft beers. Now, if you love the outdoors like I do, you're in for a real treat in Raleigh. Let me tell you about the perfect morning routine. Start with a run on the American Tobacco Trail, end your run in a little coffee or smoothie shop near South Point Mall in Durham, and then get ready for your workday feeling so refreshed and ready for the week. There are so many spots to explore here. Just last week, I found this gorgeous overlook near Jordan Lake that I had somehow missed all of this time. Recently, I had a friend move here from up north, and she transformed her entire lifestyle after moving here. She told me she used to think of herself as an indoor person until she bought her first home here near Umstead State Park. Now she's training for her first marathon being hosted right here on our Greenway system. That's what I mean when I say Raleigh makes an active lifestyle almost inevitable. Let me take you on a quick tour of my favorite outdoor spots. William B. Umstead State Park is like our own Central Park, but with 5,200 acres of trails. You've got the Company Mill Trail for serious hikers, the Sal's Branch Trail for families, and my personal favorite, the Loblolly Trail, where I've spotted more deer than I can count. Over at Falls Lake State Recreation Park, we've got 12,000 acres of water activities, and one of my clients, who is also a former Seattle resident, was skeptical about our water sports scene until I showed her the hidden gems like the secluded paddle trails near Highway 50 boat launch, and now she's teaching paddleboard yoga classes taxes at sunset. The American Tobacco Trail, as I mentioned before, is a 23-mile rail trail built on an abandoned railroad corridor, and it stretches from the western edge of Apex, passing through Wake, Chatham, and Durham counties on its way to downtown Durham. It's amazing and one of our favorites. The Capital Area Greenway system is another game changer. We're talking about over 100 miles of connected trails. The Crabtree Creek Trail is perfect for cycling commuters. I actually have a client who sold one of their cars because they can bike to work now. And the Shelley Lake Loop, it's become the unofficial meeting spot for local running groups and young families taking their first nature walks. You can go from a morning mountain bike ride at Lake Crabtree County Park to an afternoon rock climbing session at Triangle Rock Club and still make it to the sunset yoga class at Dorothea Dix Park. Speaking of Dix Park, those 308 acres are becoming our own version of Central Park, with the sunflower fields in summer becoming an Instagram sensation. But you know what makes all of this even better? The value you get for your money here in Raleigh. Let me break down why our cost of living makes all of this lifestyle possible. When it comes to getting the most bang for your buck, Raleigh truly shines. I just helped a couple relocate from Boston. They were paying $3,500 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment there, but here in Raleigh, they bought a 4-bedroom house in Apex with a gorgeous backyard and top-rated schools, and their mortgage is actually less than their old rent payment. Let's talk real numbers. In Holly Springs, where I actually sold my very first home, you can still find lovely 3-bedroom homes in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. The equivalent property in Boston's Tech Corridor, you're looking at a $1.2 million minimum. Over in 5 Points, those charming historic homes that run around $800,000 would easily cost you $2 million in San Francisco. But it's not just housing, it's the whole package. One of my clients who moved from New Jersey keeps a detailed budget spreadsheet, and she's a data analyst. After 6 months here, she calculated that her family's monthly expenses dropped by almost 35%. Their property taxes went from $15,000 a year to $4,500 a year. Their utility bills dropped by 20%, and they're saving about $400 a month on groceries. Here are some neighborhood-specific examples. In Apex, one of our fantastic suburbs, you can get a new construction 4-bedroom home in the low 600s. That same house in Austin suburbs would easily cost $900,000. Downtown Raleigh condos with skyline views start at around $500,000. In Boston's Seaport District, you need at least $800,000 for a similar unit. Over in Cary, near the future Apple campus, townhomes are running in the mid-400s, and in Silicon Valley, you can double that minimum. Last year, I worked with a young professional moving here from Seattle. He left his 600 square foot apartment and bought a 3,500 square foot home in West Cary with a big yard, plus had extra left over to put in a pool. But perhaps the most telling example is from a recent client who moved here from Pennsylvania. She was able to buy her first home, something she thought was years away from possible. A marketing professional in her early 30s, she found a charming townhome near downtown Apex for $375,000. So she's got a garage because she has no more street parking, a small yard for her dog, and her monthly payment is less than her old rental payment up north. The value proposition here isn't just about lower costs, it's about what those savings allow you to do. I'm seeing families able to save for college, young professionals start their own businesses, and retirees stretching their savings further while maintaining an amazing quality of life. When you combine these cost advantages with everything else Raleigh offers, the job market, the education system, the outdoor lifestyle, it really puts things into perspective. However, like any growing city that's experiencing these benefits, Raleigh faces its share of challenges that deserve careful consideration. Let's have an honest conversation about the challenges we face here in Raleigh. Like any growing city, we have our share of hurdles, and you deserve to know about them before making any decisions. That smooth 15-minute drive from North Hills to downtown that I enjoyed in 2015, that's now regularly hitting 35 to 45 minutes during rush hour. I-40 between Durham and Raleigh has become particularly challenging. What my clients used to call the quick commute can now add an hour to your day during peak times depending on where you live. The main bottlenecks: Capitol Boulevard near Wake Forest, the entire I-440 beltline during rush hour, and don't get me started about Glenwood Avenue near Crabtree Valley Mall around the holidays. My personal commute has been shifted from a breezy 20 minutes to closer to 35 to 45 minutes if I don't time it right. Our housing market has become incredibly competitive. Just last month, I had a client go into multiple offers offers on a brand new construction home. It's not uncommon to see 2 to 3 offers on a single property, even in this slower market in popular areas like Cary, 5 Points, or Hayes Barton, which is inside the Beltline of Raleigh. The inventory challenges are real. In 2015, we typically had about 5 to 6 months of housing inventory available. Today, we're looking at just 1 to 3 months in the most desirable areas. This has pushed prices up significantly. Some neighborhoods have seen 30 to 40% increases in just the past couple of years. If you're coming from a city with robust public transit, this might be an adjustment. While our Go Raleigh bus system is improving, it still primarily serves major corridors and coverage can be spotty in suburban areas. The lack of light rail is noticeable, especially when you compare us to peer cities like Charlotte or Nashville. We're still very car dependent here. Want to rely solely on public transit? It's possible downtown, but challenging elsewhere. A trip that takes 15 minutes by car can easily stretch to an hour or more by bus, and service frequency varies significantly by area. The pace of development has brought its challenges. Historic neighborhoods like Oakwood have seen pressure from new construction, and some of our older shopping centers have been completely transformed. The North Hills area, for example, is almost unrecognizable from 5 years ago. Construction impacts are everywhere. Cranes dot our skyline, and roadwork seems constant. Some neighborhoods like 5 Points and Hayes Barton are working hard to maintain their historic character while accommodating growth. It's a delicate balance we're still trying to figure out, although I do feel like city planners do a pretty good job planning and thinking things through. Let's talk weather, specifically our summers. The humidity here is no joke. From June through August, you'll find days where stepping outside feels like you're walking into a sauna. And while we don't get much snow, our ice storms can be tricky. I learned this the hard way during my first winter when an ice storm left parts of the city without power for days. Funny enough, when this happens, they almost always shut down schools and work. So that's a helpful difference from where I came from in Minnesota, where we were expected to brave it out and go to work and school anyway. Hurricane season requires preparation too. While we're inland enough to avoid the worst impacts, we still need to be ready for heavy rains and potential flooding. A lot of my clients invest in generators after their first major storm experience. Our rapid growth has put strain on our infrastructure. Some schools in popular districts are using temporary classrooms to handle overcrowding. Wake County Schools has seen class sizes increase by about 15% in recent years, and some schools are capped, which is important for you to understand and research if schools are a very important decision for your family. The service industry is feeling it too. Wait times at popular restaurants have doubled in many cases, and finding service professionals like plumbers or electricians often requires booking days or weeks in advance. While still more affordable than many tech hubs, our costs are climbing. Grocery prices have jumped about 12% year over year, and dining out costs about 15% more than it did 2 years ago. Property taxes have seen significant increases, especially in Wake County, and some areas experienced a 23% jump in this last assessment. I think a lot of this is due to inflation, but still. In popular neighborhoods, rent increases of 8 to 10% annually have become common, putting pressure on many residents who haven't seen their incomes keep up with the pace. For those coming from larger cities, our entertainment options might feel limited to you. Our largest indoor venue, PNC Arena, seats 19,000 people, which means some major tours skip us for larger markets. We're still working on developing more mid-sized venues for those touring acts. Compared to larger cities, we have fewer professional sports options, and some cultural amenities like Broadway shows tend to have shorter runs here than in bigger markets. But here's the thing about these challenges. They're growing pains. I don't think they're permanent problems. Every challenge I've mentioned has improvement plans in the works. We're seeing infrastructure investments, new housing developments, and cultural growth that show promise for addressing these issues. It's not about if these things will improve, but when. So who is Raleigh perfect for? I have found that certain people thrive here. If you're in tech or research, this place is a gold mine of opportunities. The Research Triangle Park continues to grow, and the startup scene is incredibly vibrant. Young families consistently tell me they've found their ideal home here. The combination of great schools, safe neighborhood options, and abundant activities for kids is hard to beat. Outdoor enthusiasts, you'll never run out of new trails to explore or activities to try. The year-round mild weather means you can stay active no matter the season. Real estate investors are seeing fantastic returns, whether whether through appreciation or rental income. The steady influx of new residents keeps demand strong. And if you appreciate Southern culture but want a modern, progressive city, you'll love how Raleigh balances tradition with innovation. Looking back on my decade here in Raleigh, I'm amazed at how this city has grown and evolved, yet maintain its charm and sense of community. It's been incredible to help so many people find their place here and watch them fall in love with this city, just like I did. If you're thinking about making Raleigh your home, I'd love to help you explore that possibility. Connect with me through my private client line, which I'll put in the description, or email me and I'll send you a value-packed guide to buying a home in North Carolina with all the things you need to know about how the process works here. Also, make sure you check out the next video. I'll link right here. It'll be super helpful if you're looking to relocate to the Raleigh area. See you guys on the next one.